Now guys, let us see what are the kinds of wealth that we can actually see from the second house. I have bifurcated the wealth that we can see from the second house into 5 points, and taking up the first point says that it could be in the form of the liquid cash. Okay, so let's suppose you are a person who is earning $10,000 a month or $20,000 a month. This particular amount that you are earning, $10,000 or $20,000 a month, that has got nothing to do with the second house. It is the amount, whatever you are currently earning. As I told you previously, this is seen from how good or bad your 11th house is. But it is what you are left with at the end of that month. Whatever be your saved wealth at the end of that month is what is seen from the second house. So let's suppose in the similar example, if you are earning $20,000 a month, second house has got nothing to do with that, but let's suppose after incurring all your expenditure for that month, after paying off your phone bills, electricity bills, the house rent, after discharging your educational expenses or paying off for the food and clothing expenses, if you have saved in, let's suppose, $500, that $500 is what is seen from the second house. So whatever be the amount that you have saved in the form of the liquid cash after incurring all your monthly expenditure is what is seen from that second house. So it could be $500 or that you could have saved out of those $20,000 you were earning, or it could be the $1,000 that you could have saved from that $20,000 that you are earning on the monthly basis. So that amount of $500 or $10,000 that you have saved in the form of the liquid cash is what is seen from the second house. Now what? The second point. The second kind of wealth that you can see from the second house could be in the form of the mutual funds or the insurance policies or any of the banking policies that you must have bought, or it could be in the form of the shares of the company that you have bought, that you considered that if you buy a particular share of this company is likely to do very good at the stock exchange market in the coming years, and therefore the interest rate that I'll be getting by investing that $1,000 that I have saved, if I invest those $1,000 into buying the share of that particular company, then I would be getting better returns. And obviously that's a better option, because if you keep that liquid cash of $1,000 that you have saved in your closet, really, I mean, there is no chance that it's going to multiply. So why not save it into something that will give you returns on that saved money? Now this is the point where you bring your mathematical analysis, your statistical and the computational acumen, your business acumen, everything into play. So you might be conducting the comparative analysis that which is the most favorable venture that you shall be investing your $1,000 into. So whether it could be the mutual funds or the banking or the insurance policies or the share market, or you shall be giving your money on lease to any individual or the friend of yours on a certain rate of interest. So you might be doing all the comparative analysis, and at the end, after performing all the analysis, you got to actually pinpoint that this is my final stand, and this is the final thing that I'll be investing my money into, because this option is better than the other three investment options that I have. So the wealth that you have could be in the form of the investment policies, the insurance policies. It could be the money that you have given on lease and the interest that you are getting on it. It could be in the form of the shares of the company that you have bought. Thirdly, what kind of wealth can be seen from the second house? Well, it could be in the form of the land and property. Oh yes. Land and property, when it comes to India, I am not well aware of what is the dynamics of the real estate industry in the countries other than India, or what is the most preferable investment or the saving options people have who are living in the countries outside India. But at least in India, there is a age-old trend to invest in land and property, to invest your savings in buying a piece of land. And not only this was a trend back in the olden times. This is something that that is even preferred by the modern day people. This is even that is happening nowadays. And the reason for that is that the real estate industry has been booming ever since I have started understanding the dynamics of the real estate industry, or have an understanding the numbers, the mathematics, etc. From that time, I have really encountered or heard that real estate industry has gone through a very tough phase, or have I encountered the news that a friend or a companion or a relative of mine bought a piece of land, and the price of that land didn't multiply after say a period of 5 years. Of course, there would be cases where there might be slack in the real estate industry for let's suppose for a period of 5 months or 6 months. But what I make out of that slack, when I say that the real industry could have gone through a tough phase for 5 or 6 months, what I really mean is that suppose you have invested $1,000 in buying a piece of land. It's not possible, although, to buy a huge piece of land with that small amount. But just giving you an example, then that if you have invested that $1,000 in buying a piece of property, and you were expecting let's suppose $200 to come your way when you finally sell off that land 2 years down the line. A slack in the real estate industry would just mean that you would be earning $1,200 after the 2 years, or the land price would remain just stagnant. That is, you would not be getting any returns. But hardly there are cases. Of course, exceptions are there in each and every industry, but this land and property investment is something that flourishes like anything. I personally, I have lived in various parts of India. I grew up in Punjab. Then I had my schooling and most of my youthful days in New Delhi. I have lived a considerable part of my life in the eastern and the southern part of the country. But no matter where I live, the land prices have literally whatever the price of land was 5 years back. After that period of 5 years, that land price was jumped to some 10 to 20 times, and it is even the case in the area I am presently residing. So it remains one of the most sought after, one of the most preferred, and one of the most economical and safer options of investment people have in India. So land and property, wealth in the form of the immovable land and property could be seen from the second house. What else? It could be in the form of the animals. Well, many of you Western lovers, you might be finding it quite hilarious that how can somebody see the wealth in the form of animals? Well, yes, it is possible, because back in the olden times, now the modern day dynamics of business has really changed altogether. But back in those olden times, animals were not only a means of investment for the people, but since the dynamics of business was very different back then, animals were not only a means of investment, but they were a part of the daily income for the people. They were a part of their daily living. For example, people used to invest, especially in the cattle, those cows, buffaloes, camels, donkeys, even donkeys, and elephants and horses. And the people who used to invest in cattle, they used to be involved in the fields like cattle grazing, or they used to work in the fields. Or something, that is occupation that was related to cattle in some form or the others. And then the people who used to own cows and buffaloes, those people were actually milk vendors. They used to fetch in the milk from the cows and buffaloes and sell it over to the other people and make money. Or what else, with the milk that they used to get from that animal that they owned, from that milk they used to make the sweet products, or any palatable delicacy in which milk was a major ingredient. They used to indulge in that business, in selling of that sweet product or that milk product. Such was the state of business back then. And why I say camels and donkeys? Well, camels and donkeys were, back when McLarens, Mercedes, and BMWs were not there. These animals were a major part of transportation. So what a person could do is that he would buy a camel or a donkey, and he would give that donkey or a camel to a person on rent or lease, who may use it for his transportation, in order to aid his transportation. And this person who has given those animals on rent to that person who needed it for aiding his transportation, he might be giving this person the rent. So that was a possible source of income. Or the other thing could be that he could be using those camels and donkeys himself for his own transportation. So let's suppose if he was a merchant, so he would toil back, and in those times there didn't used to be malls or markets back then, and if at all there were markets, they were located far away from the place where the people used to actually live. So a merchant would toil over his good on the back of the camel or the donkey. He used to take it to the merchant market, sell his goods, toil them back on the camel once again, and come back home. So this was, you could call it an older version of the modern day transportation, or an older version of the modern day supply chain management that we have nowadays. And why I say elephants and horses? Well, of course, elephant and horses were also a means of transportation, but if you dig and study the ancient texts, especially the ancient texts that were written in India, then you would find that many of those rich people, especially the kings and the rich merchants, used to invest heavily in buying the horses and elephants, because these were the animals. These were the two animals that were used in the warfare, or they were symbolic of somebody's power. They were symbolic of the fact that somebody is wealthy and prosperous. So wealth from the second house could be seen in the form of animals. What else? Okay, the last one. Well, the wealth from the second house can also be seen in the form of any age-old item that you possess that has got some kind of a cultural or the traditional value attached to it. So it could be the old piece of clothing that you possess, it could be an old piece of art and craft, it could be an old painting that you possess, it could be any old thing, any old rare thing that you inherited from your ancestors, or you got you got it from your relatives, or anything that has that dates back to some 500 or 1000 years. And now you might be wondering that what has it got to do with wealth? Well, these items, these age-old items get sold at the auctions, at lakhs, at crores or rupees. And it's not because of the fact that they are so costly that they end up being bought at an auction at such a good prices, at such hefty prices. But let's suppose you owned an overcoat that was worn by the king back in the olden times, 1000 years before, and you inherited it from your ancestors. Then you could probably sell off that overcoat at an auction, and likely are the chances that instead of getting $20, since it's just a piece of rag, if you were to judge its value in terms of the utility or the value that you can extract from it, but you could possibly sell it for lakhs or crores of rupees, because somebody who is a lover of the age-old traditional things, he may buy it, for the sake that he is obsessed, or he has got a liking for the things that have got some kind of the cultural and significance importance attached to it. So guys, these were the five points, or these were the five kinds in which we could see the wealth from the second house. And in order to further clarify the second house, let me give you an example. Let's suppose there are two individuals, and let's suppose one is earning $5,000 a month and the other is earning $10,000 a month. Now, for sure is the fact that, let's suppose these are the two individuals. Let me make it more easy. Let's suppose this is A, this is B. Let's suppose these are the two individuals who are working in the same company, and they started their careers 10 years ago, probably at the same time. So what we can make out, and they are working in the same industry, although at the different ranks. And since B is at a higher rank than what is occupied by A, that's why B is earning $10,000, which is double the amount of $5,000 that A is earning. And the reason for that is that that likely are the chances that B has got his 11th house. The 11th house in B's horoscope would be much better, would be in a much better state, would be placed much better as compared to the state of the 11th house in A's chart. And that's the reason why the current flow of income with B is more than that of A. But you know what may happen if, let's suppose, B has his 11th house well placed and A has his 11th house in an average dignity. But if B, although with the 11th house well placed, but if B has his second house screwed up, and if this person who is earning $5,000, if he has his second house well placed, then what could happen is that although this is the scenario that I have told you, but what may happen is that after working for 10 years, this person A, who was earning only $5,000, he would be in a state to buy, or he may actually buy a house of his own. While 10 years back, both of these people were living in the rental houses, adjacent to each other. But after a period of let's say working for 10 years, this guy who was earning lesser than B, he would be in a state, he would have collected that much amount of money, or he may have preserved that much amount of money that he was to able to buy a house of his own. It may be a 2 BHK apartment or 3 BHK apartment or whatever. And this guy B would be actually wondering that what the hell is wrong with me. Both of us started our careers at the same times. Both of us were living on rent. I was earning twice the amount that this individual is earning, but I don't have that much amount of money that this person A has collected over this period of 10 years, and I am not in a state, unlike A, to buy the house in the similar area that A has bought in. What is wrong with me? So the person B might be actually wondering that whether A. So this person B might be wondering that whether A has got some sort of a windfall, or has he looted somebody, or has he kidnapped somebody and got that money as a money of as the ransom money that he with which he is able to buy that house. Well, no, nothing of that might have happened. The only reason why A was in a possible state to to buy that house that B cannot afford was the fact that his second house was very well placed, and that was the reason that he was very economically saving his wealth, while B was carefree when it comes to managing the wealth he was earning. A totally unlike B was very prudent, was very discreet and intelligent when it comes to managing his wealth. So it could be the fact that while B was going on the exotic vacations every year, since A was economical, and he was very sure of the fact that 10 years down the line he got to make sure that he might be in a position where he might be starting his family. He might be in a state wherein he must have such amount of saved wealth for sure in his bank account. So when B was going on the luxury vacations, or in the one of the most expensive countries outside his own country, A at that time planned a vacation that was decent enough in in a city that was not expensive, and that too he must have planned that vacation in his own country. And the other possible reason could be that while this person B was indulging into the extravagances and luxuries of life, and was dining at the five stars, or was going out on the parties, although A was also going to parties, he must also have dined outside, but he would have made sure that if B dined in a five-star, I would dine in a place that is above average, that is decent enough. So instead of a five-star, let me dine at a three-star. It would after all, it is the company of the people I am with that's going to matter the most, and not the place where I am eating the food. Or let's suppose if both of them were spendthrifts, and they were saving only a little amount of wealth, then unlike B, who was carefree with that little amount of wealth he had left, it was A, although he was saving the similar small amount of wealth like B, but when it comes to when it came to that mathematical acumen and the intelligence that was needed to multiply that saved wealth, he was one of those intelligent individuals who was well aware of the fact that yes, he is a spendthrift, but what all small amount of wealth he'll be saving, he'll be making sure that he'll be investing it in ventures that will give him a huge amount of interest. Or if he invests his money in a particular venture, then finally when he withdraws his money back 10 years down the line, then he gonna get thrice or four times the money that he invested back 10 years ago. And this was the probable reason why why this person A, who was earning less than B, was had much more money in his bank as compared to B, because his second house was very strong.